Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Let's skip to the question.
Why is there so much Chipotle mayo on your Tim Hortons breakfast?
Oh, that he kind of lived at this intersection of being a people pleaser, but also starting to kind of work on mental health, which is something nobody... At sort of these awards functions, and the theme of their movie seems to change from function to function. But
Blake Lively disappeared for 3 months, went completely silent on social media, and when she finally emerged, only 5 people showed up to see her. But what those 5 people witnessed would expose just how desperate things have really gotten behind the scenes. And Ryan Reynolds, he's been making headlines for all the wrong reasons, including a viral moment where his behavior toward a child interviewer had people calling it completely inappropriate. If you want the full breakdown of what's really happening with Blake and Ryan, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because this story gets more shocking as it unfolds. And stick around until the end, because I'll reveal the most surprising part that everyone's missing. For 3 months, Blake Lively vanished from the public eye completely. No red carpet appearances, no social media posts, absolutely nothing. The silence was striking, especially for someone who built her career on carefully curated Instagram.
I was up here, yeah? Then I opened up to you. Why wouldn't I? I was in love with you. I trusted you.
Content and public appearances. This wasn't just a brief break from the spotlight. This was a complete disappearance that had fans and media outlets scrambling for answers. Blake Lively had always been one of those celebrities who maintained a constant presence online. Her Instagram was filled with perfectly staged family photos, fashion moments, and promotional content for her various business ventures. She understood the game of celebrity better than most, knowing that staying relevant meant staying visible.
I love it. Actually, I love the hands as well. The hands walk in an Italian restaurant.
So when she suddenly went dark across all platforms, people noticed immediately. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds was spotted attending his own movie premiere solo, a film he's incredibly proud of producing about Canadian comedian John Candy. This should have been a major moment for their relationship, the kind of event where Hollywood couples typically show their support for each other. Ryan had been promoting this documentary heavily, calling it a passion project and talking about how much it meant to him personally. But Blake was nowhere to be seen. The empty space beside Ryan on that red carpet spoke volumes about what might be happening behind closed doors. People immediately started connecting the dots and speculating that something was seriously wrong with their marriage. Industry insiders began whispering, and social media was buzzing with theories. The timing couldn't be more suspicious, considering all the legal drama surrounding Blake's recent controversies and the mounting public criticism both of them had been facing. When a Hollywood power couple suddenly starts appearing separately at major events...
John, he left us in 1994. He might be the greatest, most beautiful man that I've ever met.
Especially ones this significant. It's usually a clear sign that things are falling apart behind the scenes. The speculation intensified when fans started analyzing their past social media interactions, looking for clues about when things might have started going wrong. Some pointed to subtle changes in their usual playful online banter, while others noticed that Blake had stopped promoting Ryan's projects with her usual enthusiasm. The absence of their typical couple content was obvious to anyone who had been following their relationship over the years.
You know, in the past handful of years, I found myself really leaning into creating products and building and developing.
The question everyone was asking was simple. Where exactly was Blake Lively, and why was she hiding from the public eye for so long? Was she dealing with the legal fallout privately, trying to figure out a strategy to rebuild her damaged reputation? Or were there deeper issues in their marriage that nobody knew about? The silence was creating more speculation than any statement could have, and the longer it went on, the more people assumed the worst about both their relationship and her career.
Here we go. Oh God, that's handsome. Sorry, you guys just give me a second to, I'm gonna pass my phone.
When Blake finally emerged from her 3-month hiding period, she chose to make her comeback at an event called Glossy Pop NYC at the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City. This was supposed to be her triumphant return, a chance to promote her hair care line Blake Brown and remind everyone why she was once considered a major celebrity. But what actually happened was a reality check that nobody could have predicted. Only 5 fans showed up to greet her outside the venue.
They will catch all of us.
Can I ask you something? If you had one shot, one opportunity to...
5. For someone who was once considered an A-list celebrity, someone who had millions of followers and was married to one of Hollywood's biggest stars, this turnout was absolutely shocking. The images of Blake arriving to such a sparse crowd quickly went viral, but not for the reasons her team had hoped. People were surprised at how much her star had fallen, and the optics were challenging for someone trying to stage a comeback. But the story gets even more interesting.
I'm a very, very shy person, and I always say this, but I'm in a very strange industry to be shy.
A video started circulating online that showed one of those 5 fans taking a selfie with Blake, except the person was holding their phone completely wrong. The kind of mistake that real fans who take selfies constantly would never make. The footage looked so obviously staged that people immediately started speculating that Blake's team had actually paid people to show up and pretend to be excited about seeing her. The desperation was obvious, and social media users began analyzing every frame of the interaction.
That's sort of where John lived. Oh my God, it's... Oh,
wait a minute.
Dan...
Pointing out how unnatural everything looked. The contrast between this disappointing turnout and Blake's previous claims about needing extra security was striking. Remember, this is the same person who had argued that she couldn't hold her legal deposition at a standard office because she was concerned for her safety and needed special accommodations. Yet here she was, with only a handful of people who may not have even been real fans, and suddenly security wasn't an issue at all.
Adam, put him at this side so you get the whole... Yeah, guys, come out this way.
The irony wasn't lost on anyone paying attention to her legal troubles. What happened at that event revealed something even more telling about Blake's current state of mind. For the first time in her entire career, she was seen signing autographs and taking photos with fans. This might sound normal for a celebrity, but anyone who had followed Blake Lively's career knew this was completely out of character. She had built a reputation for being dismissive of fans, rarely stopping for photos, and generally acting like she was above that kind of interaction.
The film. Ryan, do you have anything you would like to tell the nice people here this morning?
I voted for Newmarket.
The transformation was so dramatic that longtime observers immediately recognized it as damage control. This wasn't Blake Lively being generous with her time. This was Blake Lively desperately trying to repair her public image after months of harsh criticism. The timing was too convenient, coinciding perfectly with her legal battles and the mounting public backlash she'd been facing. People who had been following her career for years started sharing stories and videos of her previous behavior toward fans. The contrast was stark.
You understand? It's a skirt. It's painted. It's a leather, vintage, like pencil skirt.
Well, good morning, you two. Welcome to...
There were countless examples of Blake being cold, dismissive, or outright rude to people who just wanted a quick photo or autograph. She had cultivated an image of being untouchable, someone who was too important and too busy for such mundane interactions. But suddenly, with her reputation in trouble and her career hanging in the balance, she was all smiles and accommodation. The calculated nature of this personality shift was obvious to everyone watching.
Oh, what's that? Hi, little guy. What's up? What's going on? I know. It's like I'd get halfway down there and be like, I'm a mom.
This wasn't personal growth or a genuine change of heart. This was a public relations strategy designed to make her seem more relatable and likable. Her team had clearly advised her that she needed to appear more accessible and down to earth if she had any hope of rehabilitating her image. The problem was that the change was so dramatic and so obviously forced that it came across as fake and desperate rather than authentic. While Blake was struggling with her comeback,
I wasn't aware that he kind of lived at this intersection of being a people pleaser, but also starting to kind of work on
Ryan Reynolds was dealing with his own series of public relations issues. The most damaging incident involved a child interviewer who had been excited to meet one of his favorite actors. Instead of the charming, witty interaction people expected from Reynolds, the encounter went viral for all the wrong reasons. Ryan was dismissive, rude, and openly mocked the kid, creating a moment so uncomfortable that media outlets started calling his behavior completely inappropriate.
Channing Tatum's here and DJ's here, and I remember you said something about the back of his head. Do you remember?
Can you fly a helicopter?
The incident was particularly damaging because it contradicted everything Ryan Reynolds had built his public persona around. He was supposed to be the funny, relatable guy who was great with kids and families. His whole brand was built on being the perfect husband and father, someone who could balance humor with genuine warmth. But this interaction showed a completely different side of him. Someone who was arrogant, mean-spirited, and willing to embarrass a child for what he apparently thought was comedic effect.
When you mention John Candy to anybody, anybody over the age of 40, they go, oh, hello.
The criticism was swift and intense. Comment sections everywhere were filled with people expressing their disappointment at his behavior. Parents were particularly upset, pointing out that there was no excuse for an adult to treat a child that way, especially when the kid was clearly nervous and excited to meet someone he admired. The fact that Ryan seemed to think it was funny made it even worse, as he was seen looking around at other adults as if expecting them to laugh along with his behavior.
Tell me Deadpool's married to a millennial girl in real life without telling me.
But Ryan's problems didn't stop there. During the Toronto International Film Festival, he had an encounter with beloved Canadian actor Eugene Levy that rubbed people the wrong way. When Levy approached him during an interview, Ryan's response was condescending and dismissive. He made some comment about welcome to the fray while making butterfly hand gestures, as if Eugene Levy wasn't accustomed to media attention. The irony was staggering. Eugene Levy has had a decades-long career in entertainment.
Everybody out there wants to know about Deadpool and Avengers, and you posted that thing on social, so what?
Including creating and starring in the critically acclaimed series Schitt's Creek. For Ryan to act like Levy was some newcomer to fame was incredibly tone deaf. Canadians were particularly upset about this interaction, and their frustration was compounded by another controversy involving merchandise. Ryan had been promoting a t-shirt that he claimed was designed by a Canadian artist, playing up his Canadian roots and connection to his home country.
I could be brown, I could be blue, I could be violet sky, I could be hurtful, I could be purple, I could be anything.
But when people tried to buy the shirt, they discovered it was only available through an American online store that didn't even ship to Canada. The contradiction was obvious. Ryan was using his Canadian identity for marketing purposes, while making it impossible for actual Canadians to support the product. What happened inside Blake's comeback event was even more revealing than what happened outside. According to someone who was actually there, Blake's presentation was a complete mess. She rambled incoherently.
Okay, hey, I made a billboard.
I hijacked a billboard.
Repeated herself constantly and seemed completely out of her element. This wasn't the confident, polished celebrity that people were used to seeing. This was someone who appeared to be having some kind of breakdown in real time. The insider account painted a picture of someone who was clearly struggling. Blake was talking fast, giving long-winded answers that didn't make sense and saying a lot without actually communicating anything meaningful. She even became self-conscious about her position on stage.
The secret to always looking stunning in your clothes is mirroring your features. Let me explain by using Blake Lively.
Apologizing to parts of the audience because she had her back to them. For someone who had spent years in the spotlight and was supposedly comfortable with public speaking, this level of awkwardness was shocking. But perhaps the most telling moment came when Blake claimed to be a very, very shy person and said she was in a very strange industry to be shy. The audience member who reported this seemed skeptical, and for good reason. Anyone who had seen Blake's previous interviews knew this was completely false.
Explain this, you posted this. Explain what's happening here.
Okay, so Vivian Baker, she did this really rough look because my family's...
There was that infamous interview where she was leaning back on a sofa, taking up all the space, and aggressively asking personal questions of the interviewer. She had even made inappropriate comments about sharing locations and phone numbers, displaying the kind of dominant, confident behavior that was the complete opposite of shy. The contradiction was so obvious that people started sharing clips of her past interviews to prove how false her claims were. A former intelligence operative who specialized in body language analysis had previously analyzed her behavior.
There was never any doubt where this film needed to happen.
And concluded that she was extremely confident that she owned whatever room she was in and that she wasn't afraid of anything. The idea that this same person was now claiming to be shy was laughable to anyone who had been paying attention. This apparent personality shift seemed to be part of the same image rehabilitation campaign that had her suddenly being nice to fans. Her team had clearly decided that she needed to appear more vulnerable and relatable. So, they had coached her to present herself as shy and nervous.
We've just launched our vodka iced teas. One is Meyer Lemonade, one is Passion Fruit, and they really are...
The problem was that her past behavior was so well documented that the lie was immediately obvious to anyone who cared to look. The most revealing aspect of Blake's comeback wasn't her behavior, it was how the media responded to it. Her team worked overtime to get coverage of her appearance, and the headlines they managed to generate were absolutely ridiculous. Multiple major outlets wrote entire articles about her outfit, calling a basic brown ensemble eccentric.
Ryan Reynolds just showed his true colors after what he did at this event yesterday. Basically, this all happened at TIFF, which is the Toronto International Film Festival.
And trend-setting when it looked like something a grandmother might wear to church. People magazine ran a story about how Blake was embracing fall fashion, while Vogue claimed she was hard launching a chocolate red bottom fall wardrobe. Other outlets called her look eye-catching and suggested it was a catalog of trends that will likely shape the upcoming season. The desperation was obvious. These were major fashion publications trying to make a completely unremarkable outfit sound revolutionary and influential.
That I had not done my due diligence in my previous video where I referenced the beanie text.
The manipulation became even more apparent when you looked at the comment sections of these articles. The outlets were clearly benefiting from the controversy surrounding Blake and Ryan, posting content they knew would generate negative engagement. 95% of the comments were critical, with people expressing their frustration with both celebrities. But the outlets kept posting anyway, because controversy drives clicks and clicks drive revenue. This created a bizarre situation where media companies were pretending to support Blake and Ryan.
Dopinder, I'm starting to think there's a reason I'm in this cab today.
Yes, sir, you called for it, remember?
No, my slender.
while actually profiting from the negative attention directed toward them. They would write positive headlines and supportive captions, then leave the comment sections open, knowing that people would flood them with criticism. It was a cynical game that allowed them to have it both ways, appearing supportive while actually feeding off the controversy. The fact that Blake's team was able to get so much coverage for such an ordinary outfit showed just how desperate they were for positive press. They were clearly pushing hard to control the narrative.
We good?
Trying to shift focus away from her legal troubles and onto something as mundane as her clothing choices. But the strategy backfired because the coverage was so obviously manufactured that it only highlighted how much her reputation had deteriorated. Everything about Blake and Ryan's recent public appearances revealed a level of desperation that was both calculated and sad to watch. Every move seemed designed to rehabilitate their images and distract from their mounting problems.
What's the most Canadian thing about each of you?
Well, he's actually Canadian.
Right.
So my passport.
But the efforts were so transparent that they only made things worse. Blake's sudden niceness to fans, her claims of being shy, her team's aggressive media push, it all felt like damage control rather than authentic behavior. The irony of Blake claiming she needed special security accommodations for her legal deposition while only 5 people showed up to her public event wasn't lost on anyone. It exposed the contradiction between her legal arguments and the reality of her current relevance.
Ryan Reynolds reacts to being fired from Marvel. Ryan Reynolds, fired from Marvel? Say it ain't so. Yup, the man behind...
If she was truly concerned about safety due to her celebrity status, why was she comfortable appearing at a public event with minimal security? The answer was obvious. Her safety concerns were legal strategy, not genuine fear. Ryan's behavior was equally revealing. Even when making a documentary about Canadian comedy legend John Candy, he managed to make it about himself and his own family. Instead of focusing on Candy's legacy and impact on comedy, Ryan was talking about his own mother and her connection to the comedian.
Ryan deleted Blake. Could the blind items about a divorce be true? She's completely deleted except for this collaboration post that she tagged him in.
It was typical of his self-centered approach to everything. Even when honoring someone else, he found a way to center himself in the narrative. The timing of all these public appearances, personality changes, and media pushes wasn't coincidental. Both Blake and Ryan were dealing with serious reputation damage, and their teams were clearly working overtime to try to fix it. But their efforts were so obvious and so poorly executed that they only served to highlight how much trouble they were really in. Instead of appearing genuine and relatable,
I'll try to keep this brief as well. I'm going to tell my life story in real time.
they came across as fake and desperate, which only made people more suspicious about what they were trying to hide. The media's complicity in this image rehabilitation campaign was equally concerning. Major outlets were willing to write puff pieces about completely ordinary outfits and mundane public appearances, all while knowing that their comment sections would be filled with criticism. They were profiting from the controversy while pretending to support the people at the center of it, creating a toxic cycle that benefited everyone except the public, who was being manipulated.
You just had a huge win and want a celebratory rewatch. What's your go-to victory movie?
What this whole situation revealed was that both Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds had lost control of their public narratives. They were no longer the beloved celebrity couple they once appeared to be, and their desperate attempts to reclaim their former status were only making their fall from grace more obvious. The carefully crafted personas that had made them famous were crumbling, and no amount of staged fan interactions or ridiculous fashion coverage was going to fix the fundamental problems with their reputations.
Miss.
Conclusion. The transformation of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds from beloved Hollywood power couple to desperate public relations cases has been stunning to witness. What we're seeing isn't just a temporary rough patch or some bad publicity. This is a complete collapse of carefully constructed celebrity personas that took years to build. Blake's 3-month disappearance, followed by her awkward comeback attempt, combined with Ryan's series of tone-deaf public moments, has exposed just how fragile their entire brand really was.
Toronto International Film Festival, or better known as TIFF, kicked off today, and the opening night premiere was the documentary that is directed.
The most telling aspect of this whole situation is how manufactured every single move feels now. Blake's sudden kindness to fans, her claims of being shy, the aggressive media push for coverage of her ordinary outfits. None of it feels authentic, because none of it matches who they've shown themselves to be over the years. When celebrities start dramatically changing their behavior in response to criticism, it usually means they've lost control of their narrative completely. Ryan's inappropriate behavior toward a child interviewer and his
I can't tell you what was right about John Candy or what was wrong, but he was my friend, and
condescending treatment of Eugene Levy revealed something concerning beneath his supposedly charming persona. The fact that he thought embarrassing a kid was funny shows a level of arrogance and mean-spiritedness that contradicts everything his public image was built on. And his habit of making everything about himself, even a documentary honoring John Candy, demonstrates a self-centeredness that people are finally starting to recognize.
And that wasn't the only call out in this. At the end of this complaint, there was another pretty brilliant little moment where Jed's team called her.
The media's role in all of this has been equally revealing. These outlets are clearly profiting from the controversy while pretending to support Blake and Ryan, creating content they know will generate negative engagement while maintaining plausible deniability about their intentions. It's a cynical game that exposes how little the entertainment industry actually cares about the people it claims to celebrate. What do you think about Blake and Ryan's efforts to save their reputations? Are they just going through a rough patch?
Y'all, the Hollywood tea is scalding today. After years of their so-called bromance, Hugh is apparently done pretending that Reynolds is
Or is this the beginning of the end for their careers? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and your insights always add so much to these discussions. If you want to stay updated on all the latest Hollywood drama and see behind the carefully crafted PR moves, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Trust me, with the way things are going for these two, there's definitely more drama coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, where we'll dive even deeper into the celebrity stories everyone's talking about.